Hey guys, Seiji here. Are you tired of this happening to you in the vaults? Then boy do I have the video for you. This is Vault Hunters 1.18 tips and tricks with Seiji. Disclaimer, some of you may already know some of these tips and tricks. This is mainly meant for the newer crowd of Vault Hunters. Hopefully some of these helped you out. If they did, or if there's some that you didn't already know, let me know down in the comments. But without further ado, let's hop into this episode. So let's get straight into this video. Like I said, no specific order. Is this spoilers that I see? So obviously to start, you want to find some Voltstone and you want to find some Chromatic Iron. These can spawn anywhere, as I was saying, these can spawn anywhere below -30. So you want to go to Deep Slate for this stuff. I'll show you what I mean. So more than likely, you'll find the Voltstone while mining. As you can see, it does spawn on the surface and around air blocks. And the cool thing about this is as you're mining it, you don't want to use Silk Touch because it will not drop the rocks, and also Fortune does not affect the drop chance on here. So it takes a good bit to mine, and you're going to want to find a couple of these little geodes, but in time you will get plenty of Volt rocks to start running plenty of Volts. The next thing I recommend doing is to start strip mining at around -55. For me, that's been like the sweet spot to kind of find it. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, but we'll just start mining over here. And I've noticed like this, it spawns nearly around lava most of the time, and it will not spawn with an air block around it. So I'm told. So like I said, strip mining just seems to be about the best thing you can do. The good thing about Chromatic Iron is once you get that first bit, you find the stuff in the vaults, so you don't have to really go mining for it that much. Once you got your Chromatic Iron and your chipped Volt rocks, you come over here and you craft them up like this after smelting the Chromatic into Chromatic Iron ingots, and you'll get your first Volt rock. What you're going to do with this is you're going to make a Volt altar and a button or pressure plate, whatever you want to do. Put a Volt rock on there and you're going to get your first recipe. Also, place the button near or on this thing like this. After you've got everything on the Volt altar, you just submit a redstone signal just like this, and in time, this will eventually craft into your first Volt rock. So just like that, you can use this to open up the vaults, but I don't quite think that we're ready for that. Let me explain. So your first vault is typically going to be your hardest, so here's a couple things that you may or may not want to take in with you. The first thing I would do is get efficiency 5 from a villager, or just on any pickaxe basically. Another thing, feather falling. Fall damage is probably the main contributor to my deaths inside the vault. And believe it or not, this is going to be a different one. Most people have not posted this that I've seen in videos, but Thorns is actually super overpowered in the vaults because it knocks enemies back once they hit you. I'll show y'all that shortly. Another thing you may or may not want to do is actually start searching for ruined portals or spawners, because in the chest you can potentially get golden apples, which should help out just a bit in the vault to heal. And then another thing, probably one of the most important actually, is bring some just easy blocks to get. It could be netherrack, it can be leaves. I personally prefer leaves because they're pretty easy to spot in the vault for the most part. This is going to help you mark your different waypoints, like where you came in at, and also help you find your way back home. And a few other things that you can potentially do if you would like. This is going to make the vaults a ton easier if you prefer to do this. So this first one is going to be game rule vault allow waypoints. That basically means you don't need these blocks unless you're going to want to pillar up. So you can do this and you don't have to worry about never being able to find your portal again. The next thing, which is actually a huge change, is game rule vault casual mode. So as y'all probably know or don't know, as you go into a vault up until you get to a certain level, you're going to get beginner's grace and you will never lose your items when you die. Well, with this, you can go all the way up to level 300 and never lose your items whenever you die. So that's actually pretty amazing. So one thing that you can do if you've already created a world, you can come over here, open to land, and allow cheats, do these game rules, save and quit the title, come back to the world, and they should be active inside of your vaults. A few other things that you may want to bring with you are bundles. They're honestly your buddy in the vault. You can craft them, but more than likely you're going to have to run a vault to get these, but you can actually find them in villager chests. So far I haven't found them in the normal villages that spawn, but occasionally you'll find really huge villages, and they typically have a bundle or two in them. The cool thing about bundles is 0 to 64. You can hold 64 different items in these things. What I mean by that is you come over the item, you right click, and it will pick all of them up, and just like that your inventory is sorted. And then once you're back home, there's two different ways you can empty them. You can either right click again to empty them like that, or put it in your hand, shift right click, and then everything falls on the ground. Now bundles don't work with every item, so like crystals, I want to say buckets, maybe even pickaxes and stuff like that. Yeah, you cannot actually bundle those items. And if you have no luck finding bundles, you can honestly find sacks as well. They're basically budget shulker boxes. They can hold 9 items, and I'll show you like this. You can pick this up, and it will contain all the items that are in it, so you can carry these around if you're having trouble finding a bundle. These also spawn in villages. We're going to get to this in just a minute, but let's hop into our first vault. So here is what pretty much the perfect inventory looks like to get into the vaults. The Thorns armor, the Feather Falling boots, equip that. You get your efficiency 5 pickaxe, your diamond axe or sword, either a quick draw and piercing crossbow or an infinity bow. The cool thing about the infinity bow is if you have that, you do not need arrows in your inventory clogging up space. Also, at least 1 or 2 bundles if you can get it. If not, the sacks will work. You don't even need to bring anything in. Some food, a water bucket, your building blocks, and then obviously your crystal to go inside the vault. So let's see these tips in action. Alright, and once you get to this first room, you want to either make a huge pillar so you know. Oh, I forgot one of my tips. I forgot the golden apples, so make sure you bring those if you have any. Another thing you can do with the blocks, if you have a lot of mobs like this chasing you, you can stack up 2 or 3 blocks like this, and you don't have to worry about getting knocked down, because the fighters will only throw bricks if you're in hard or impossible difficulty. Here is where that piercing comes into play. You can hit multiple mobs at once, and if you have the infinity bow, you can pretty much just spam the arrows like that, and it helps out quite a bit. Another tip is don't do what I did and just run all over the place, because all these spawners will activate if you're in a certain radius, and right here, quite a bit of spawners activated, and you can get overwhelmed pretty quickly. So as we're coming into the next room, I typically make a line like this. That way I know this is for sure the way that came from. You normally only want to tackle about 1 POI at a time. Also, the raids take no knockback, so be extra careful when fighting them. You can see this spawner just spawned some mobs, so I don't have to worry about it for just a little bit. And there's that Thorns in action. It is knocking them back like that. Once it spawns that batch, you want to kill those mobs and then go straight for the spawner. Then you can freely loot however you want. You can see my inventory is getting pretty full, so what I can do is use the bundle, don't put the arrows in there, and then just like that, that's full, and I have a little bit more space to store extra items. So more than likely, you should be about level 1 by now. So what do you want to spec into? So there's plenty of great options like Dash, Vein Miner, and stuff like that, but without a doubt, the number one thing that you want to spec into with that first skill point is Twerker, believe it or not. Psych, it's actually Heal, because with Heal, it's basically unlimited healing in the vault as long as you have mana. So be careful and always keep an eye on your mana. One of the best things I can recommend is as if your mana is full, even if it's half a heart, go ahead and heal just so that way you don't have to wait on that buffer, because eventually you will run out of mana and you will not be able to heal. Later on in the game, you can actually get vault gear that lets you have more mana and even trinkets. I'm not sure the exact level Beginner's Grace stops spawning, but I'll add a picture of it right here. So once it does stop spawning, say it's level 15 and you are level 14, if you still want that Beginner's Grace without having to use a Soul Flame, you can add the crystal here, add the items that you're going to need, craft it, and you can see just like this, it should still be level 11 because it goes off the level that you currently are. So you can craft up a whole bunch of crystals before you actually eat a couple burgers and get to level 12. The only downside about this is your loot tables will be locked at the level that you crafted the crystals at. Say you still want to get that super good loot from the higher levels and you don't want to use Beginner's Grace, but you still don't want to lose your items, you can craft up a Soul Flame like this. There's the recipe. You add it to the crystal, and it works pretty similar to Beginner's Grace, but I do believe that instead of you still get XP, you'll just get 50% of it. Here's all the different stations that you can craft. Right here is the Vault Forge. You use this to craft different Vault Gears from some of the items that you get. You can craft swords, helmets, pretty much everything. Up here you'll notice this one has a little bitty line against it. If I craft up a Vault Sword, once this is maxed out, it upgrades. Once I roll the thing, it should have a higher chance of rolling better gear once it's actually upgraded. We actually got a common, and that's not bad at all. So Vault Gear has implicits, prefixes, and suffixes. This one spawned with a couple on there, but it does have an empty prefix. You come over to the Artisan Station, throw this in there, and these you will find in the vault as you're looting. This one right here, it reforges all prefixes and suffixes. This adds a new random modifier, and right here removes the random modifier. So I can do this, and I got that +6 base attack. That's actually super good. So I can then gamble and try to remove a random modifier, and I'm not 100% sure what it removed. So the implicits never actually leave the weapon. Those will stay permanently on there. The ones you can adjust are the prefixes and suffixes. So right here, chaining, if you can get that, you're pretty much set. It's basically AoE attack, and just play with it and see what you get. Say you have some low level Vault Gear, you can throw that into a Vault Recycler or smelt it, but a Vault Recycler gives you a higher chance for Vault Scraps and a couple different things as well. This is the Tool Vise. You won't use this until about mid-game, but you can use it to upgrade pickaxes that you can craft from the Vault. So right here is your basic one. It's a scrappy pickaxe. It's a little bit better than Diamond and Netherite. Right here is the Vault pickaxe, is the one I would recommend crafting. Then you have the black chromatic one, the echoing, and then the prismatic one. So the cool thing about this is you can upgrade it. You can upgrade either your copiously, mining speed, or reach. I typically would go with mining speed. You can see right there that upgraded. It gave me a socket in there. And the more you do this, the higher chance it has to break. You typically want to get 2 sockets. Let me show you why. Once you have 2 socket slots, you can use that same pickaxe and add these jewels on them. There's different recipes for each one. This is it right there for that one, and this is it for this one. You can put this one on there, which allows you to use it also as an axe, and then this one allows you to use it as a shovel. So it's basically a Paxel from Season 2, and it's super fast, as you can tell. You can then use this to break your normal wooden chest inside the vault, and also the gilded and a couple other ones. The living chests need a hoe. You could also craft a magnet if you would like. It's pretty useful once you get pouches and stuff like that. This is the recipe, and right here is the actual magnet. What you do is you equip it into your magnet slot, and then basically you can no longer throw items out, and that can get pretty annoying around your base. So the way around that is to use a demagnetizer. Here's the recipe right there. It's actually not super expensive. You put this down, and now you no longer pick up items in the base. Sorry if this video was a little scrappy, and sorry if it kind of seems like I brushed past things. I do apologize. Hopefully y'all learned 1 or 2 things from it. If y'all did, comment down below, and if y'all didn't, comment down a couple of things that I should add for the next people that you wish you would have known when you started Vault Hunters. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're not, comment down below, and like the video. It helps out a ton with the algorithm. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless you guys. Bye bye.